Welcome into the crypto bunker. Today we're going to be talking about, have we bottomed? Have we seen the bottom in cryptocurrencies? I believe we have, and I'm willing to put, myself on the line. I'm willing for you guys to call me out on that. There's always a potential to go lower. I do think that this is a very crucial time for crypto and for risk assets in general. I went over in my last video why I believe that we have bottomed in the stock market correction that we've been seeing. And it hasn't really been that bad of a correction. I think people have just made it out to be a little bit more than it is with the Fed and the macro and everything. And so I believe that the Fed, the macro, Omicron, all of that stuff is overblown. And I think it might have been, retail people who got scared and sold because of fears, just like when we had Delta, but then it turned out to be not that bad. I think Omicron is going to be even better than the results than Delta. And so, less deaths, it might be more contagious, but less deaths. So that's good. That's the most important thing. So yeah, let's just get into the charts because I love the charts. So this is just a trend line that I picked out. I just found it. Check out how this is the bottom of this entire correction, our first big correction, right? So we bottomed there. We held it as support here on the weekly closes of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Even this big correction, we held it as support. And we broke below it. And that's when people got really bearish, right? Because all the trend lines were, it broke all the trend lines. It broke everything basically, right? And I think that that's sort of like what the similar to what's happening here. People are like, oh, we broke it, right? Like we broke that trend line. And so people are sort of thinking maybe similarly to when Bitcoin, I guess we can say, we can say it broke. Like if we did that trend line there, people would be like, oh, we broke it, we're going down. So I think that there's still some fear in the market. I think there is, a decent amount of people who are selling, who are short. I just think that those people are about to be wiped out. And I actually think it will happen in the next couple hours because we're getting the weekly close. Okay. So and this is pretty important. But in general, when we see these corrections, right, we get 1, 2, maybe 3 down legs. 1, 2, this was a little bit different. This was an extended one. This one, it was 1, 2, 3. This one, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're pretty low down there at this point. We're low on the RSI as well. So looking at the weekly RSI for Bitcoin, we've been making these higher lows, and we're sort of on that trend line again here. And we've also been making higher highs. So, this has been a little bit different of a pattern than this 2017 RSI, where we just kept hitting the top, and we just went, and then we kind of went a little bit lower on that last top, and that's when you could kind of tell that it was over. So with this, a top usually doesn't look like this, right? Down here at the 70 level. We weren't able to break into this upper echelon level. And so what I think is we will see again higher highs. I wouldn't be surprised if it went, up here, down, and then we get like that last blow off. And I do think we're entering into that stage. I think that this entire correction was sort of a mistake or just repricing for the end of the year. I think a lot of hedge funds have been selling to say, hey, look, I made 25% on this asset when they might have lost on some other ones. So there's just a lot of there's tax loss taking in DeFi coins. There's tax loss in some of these altcoins. When people are down, they want to use that as a tax loss harvest, which is a good thing. People should do that. If you have losses and you're going to pay your taxes, which you should, you're going to want to take losses and then and then rebuy them, you know, at January 1st, essentially. So I think what we're about to see the next couple weeks before January 1st is going to be people front running the people who did that, and the hedge funds who are going to allocate in the new year when they got all their paperwork done throughout this entire year. They literally waited all the way until January 1st. So this is like a perfect setup for them. And so they want it to keep going down, while the people who are in crypto sort of with the big money, they know that those people are coming. And so it's a little bit of a front run of them. On the daily on Bitcoin, we can see as well with the RSI that we are putting in a little bit of divergence. Okay, so you know, that means that we're making these higher lows, and of course, it's, you know, not that much of a difference, but we did the same thing here, right? We're kind of along that type of trend line during this correction. Even though we were going lower, the RSI was going higher. Same with here. We're going lower, RSI was going higher. So this one's sort of similar to this one, I think, but they're all different. Every correction is going to be a little bit different. But I do think we're sort of forming this rounded bottom a little bit. So what we want to see is, you know, sort of a little bit of a rounded bottom like that. And so we are forming a rounded bottom with, you know, we're not seeing the volume come in necessarily yet, but I think tomorrow, possibly tonight, we could see that come in. And I think that it's very important that we, you know, that we close like sort of around this area, because that will actually form what is called a dragonfly doji. And a dragonfly doji sort of looks like this one here. And it usually just signals a trend reversal. So this is right now, this is a gravestone doji, which means we were rejected. A dragonfly doji, if we closed up like 48.2, would signal, you know, a major reversal and probably that we have bottomed. And so by me saying that we, you know, I think that we bottomed is I'm not really going to count this wick here because this is just a crazy liquidation event. But I am going to say if we go lower than 45.4, then that would invalidate the bottom, and then we would see, you know, more of a July style longer correction, which could then take us down to a very key level. And I'm glad I'm getting to cover Bitcoin today. This is one of the most key levels that no one talks about. It's around 37.5. And if you were in this correction trying to trade this like I was and making total mistakes, you would realize that this was a key level in here as well, especially on the 4 hourly. Let me take this trend line out real quick. So we just kind of like, we either were getting rejected or we were using as support. We were getting rejected, support, rejected, support. And so this was a key like little correction and then kind of a higher move from here. So this was a really key support line. This is the line we do not, under any circumstances, like last resort, want to go below. So I would say 37.5 is our total invalidation. And if we saw this style of correction, this is probably where we would end up bottoming out anyway, would be something like that. You know, sort of similar to this. Like it already sort of looks like it wants to copy this a little bit. So that's why I said tonight is so important. And I believe that it will get picked up and that hopefully we can close Dragon style doji on that. So I actually want to take a look at Polkadot. I think Polkadot is very interesting here. I sort of gave up on it, to be honest, because it felt to me like it was a little bit dead. They haven't really had like the traction necessarily in terms of total value locked and things like that for that other layer ones have had. So, you know, it's a little bit concerning, but we're so early to some of these projects that I actually think Polkadot is, for me, it's always been a long-term vision. And so I did scoop up some Polkadot and staked it on Kraken. And you can actually stake your Polkadot on Kraken and earn 12% interest paid in DOT. And it's paid every 3 days. So you take, you know, 365 divided by 3 to get like the APR and everything of like how many DOT you'll get every 3 days. And then that DOT is actually added to your balance. So unlike ETH staking on Kraken, where it's just separate rewards and you're always getting the same amount, it's not adding them back to your total balance. This does add back, constantly adds back to your balance. So you're getting more and more rewards every single time, theoretically. So that's one cool thing. Another thing is I just think that like they move sort of slow, which is kind of like Ethereum developers. They have one of the most robust development teams around in terms of just people developing on Polkadot, with the Web3 Foundation, with Kusama being you know, a separate blockchain that's built as like a test net for Polkadot. And they have a substrate coding framework, which I think is cool, which is it kind of allows you to use like whatever coding framework you like the best a little bit. I think I'm not an expert on this stuff, but what it allows is other blockchains to communicate with each other in a seamless way. So it's like the internet of blockchains a little bit, which obviously a lot of things are like kind of copying that now, but like Polkadot was kind of the original vision for that. It's also, you know, started by Gavin Wood, who was the creator of Solidity Code. So he's, you know, one of the best coders of all time. So, and I think that like their version of what they're doing is a little bit more decentralized than some of these other L1s like Avalanche and Solana. So, you know, don't quote me on that, but I do think that they have something going there. And when a project is dead and people are saying, oh, it looks dead, like what's going on? That's kind of when I want to come in. And I do think that this chart in particular looks very similar to Bitcoin in the fact that we're sort of seeing this again, like this rounded bottom coming in. And we're also seeing the RSI, you know, higher lows in the RSI. We're going down here, but we're kind of rounding out. And this would be invalidated pretty, like this is a little bit more risky. This would be invalidated at like 24.14, I think was the low, maybe $24 of this correction. And so I picked some up. You know, I do think there's a lot of potential here. There's a lot of venture capitalists who back this, the same as Solana and Avalanche. I think there's more for Polkadot than any of those actually. So, you know, who knows? They are the ones who may have sold a lot of this off. I'm not sure what their locking period is. It's probably not the same type of thing because this project is a little bit older. But like I said, this is a long-term vision. I just think that this is a good place to pick up some DOT. Honestly, like there's some key levels to look at here. And so this is like that same Bitcoin level we were talking about. And for this, we're actually like pretty much at that level. And then there's also this level where we take like from the beginning of the bull run to like that bottom there. This is similar to like the Ethereum bottom where like you take it from there, and that's kind of where you get the matchup. So just some thoughts on Polkadot, and then some thoughts on, of course, Ethereum, the dominant blockchain of all the blockchains, in my opinion. You know, my biggest holding, obviously, ETH is something that I personally am allocated heavily towards. I'm also actually allocated to Bitcoin now because of on Curve, I have started using their Try Crypto product on Polygon, which is really cool, where you can earn 21% paid in Curve token and like 4% in the pool, like the liquidity pool swap that you get from that. So Curve is something I believe in long term. I think that DeFi, like they're like the DeFi blue chip. They have the most total value locked. They're like stable coin, center of the DeFi universe. And so I would happily get paid in Curve. And to do that, I had to go this try crypto 33% ETH, 33% Bitcoin, 33% stable coins. So it's a little bit less risky to use leverage, which I am. Like I took a loan out to basically farm these Curve tokens from Aave, and then so it's a little bit less risky because it's muted volatility with the 33% stablecoin weighting in there. So I really like that. It's like a long-term farming position, I think, for me now. I did just get into it, but yeah. But anyway, I think that this is actually like probably the best example of a rounded bottom out of all of them. So again, like ETH looks the best, like always. We really rounded this out, and these dips really got bought up, right? So for me, I want to see this close actually at the top of this wick. So I want to see us close like, ideally like 40, like I will look at the weekly, but the daily are like 40. And then the weekly, I want to see it close like 41.40 because that would then give us, which we don't have a lot of time, but these things can happen quickly. That's not that crazy of a move. That's like $200 from here. So that would give us like one of the best Dragonfly dojis I've ever seen on a weekly, probably anyone has ever seen. I don't even think that, I'm not even sure what could compare to it. I mean, this was a doji with the Dragonfly. This was a Dragonfly. So I guess like, what would we expect to get that type of move? I wouldn't even be shocked, honestly. I'm looking for big things from ETH in 2022 and early too. Like I think we're going. Like this is literally, this is just my opinion. But yeah, like something like that, for the initial move would not surprise me. That could even be like the final move. We don't want to get too greedy, right? So, if you are taking leverage, you want to take profits like 6,500. That's always been my target for ETH. But I guess we can take a look. The RSI doesn't look as, it's a little bit more confusing to me, to be honest, for Ethereum. But at the same time, on the weekly, it's not. So I'm glad I just looked at that because I was looking on the daily. But look what we're doing, right? We're making higher lows. And we're going down. So if we're going down here and we're making higher lows here, I mean, guys, this really looks like the bottom to me. So again, that's just my opinion. Those are the three coins that I'm looking at. I'm also, I'm big into Polygon. I'm big into Decentral games. None of this is financial advice, but Polygon looks ready to rock and roll. So again, it's, this is pretty wild to see the volume that came in here. That's sort of like unprecedented during this correction phase, right? I mean, Polygon is just going up during the correction here. It's not going down. It's making higher lows within the correction. It's not in in any type of descending wedge, really. It's just been ripping face. And so again, this is another one where it's like these rounded bottoms. Even like from here, we got it here. We got it here. I don't know why this isn't. We got it here. And then we finally got this one as well. So, this looks ready to rip. My target for Matic is like 440 now. So that's like a double from here, 100% move. If we get a rip of Ethereum and Bitcoin and we get a real rip here for like a couple weeks, like I wouldn't be surprised to see 440 Matic within like a couple weeks. They have some of the best partnerships in the game. They're acquiring ZK rollups. I believe that 2022 is the year of ZK rollups and the year of layer 2 solutions. And so now that Polygon is sort of cementing themselves as like the main layer 2 scaling solution for Ethereum by acquiring multiple ZK rollup teams, acquiring different products that they can use towards scaling Ethereum to the world. They're like the internet of blockchains. You know, I do think that they're like the internet of blockchains for Ethereum, right? Polkadot is the internet of blockchains for everything. But Matic is specifically focused on Ethereum, which I really like. And so, again, these are just some of my thoughts. Hopefully you guys got something out of the video, and have a great day.